and I am from a circus family. I'm the 5th generation of circus performing, so which means it stems back way a long time ago. My mother was a gymnast, and my father was a horseback juggler. So I am a juggler, but I am not a horseback juggler. So what horseback juggling is basically you're on the horse while the horse is running, and you're doing all these amazing tricks. But I don't like heights, so I decided to have a ground net. Which is kind of funny because in my family, my mother-in-law is a trapeze artist. So she is a heel catching trapeze artist. And what that means is when you swing on the trapeze, one of her crazy tricks was she would do a somersault, and then her heels would then catch the bar. So she would be hanging upside down while on her heels, basically, and heel catching trapeze. My mother, a gymnast and also a trapeze artist, and my sister, she does aerial. I don't know if you've guys seen, it's kind of like a moon, like this metal hoop, and also silk, so also aerial. But I decided to be a juggler, and what a juggler means is that I'm going to show you guys a couple of things that I juggle, and it's a fun act. But if anybody would like to try and practice it, you will right away find out that it takes a long time to learn. But it's always fun and it's always challenging. So I have a whole act performance on the projector, but I also have a couple of things that I can do. So would you guys like to choose, or do you want to, I can show you both? Or? Okay, cool. So how about I put my act on first, and maybe I'll just try to turn the lights on.
I got it.
You got it? Great. I will show you guys more a little bit about the website because a lot of it has to do with costuming. But let me show you my act first.
Oh my god. She's been holding out on us.
And I'm going to pass you my hooks when I'm done. Okay, ready? I've always wanted to be able to do that. When I was a kid, kids used to make fun of me because I look like the seal. Yeah. I didn't like it, but then I realized that they are right, so I better embrace it.
Again, she can sew.
For the fifth time. What does
Yes.
mean?
I will continue to say this.
You're gonna catch my ball, ready?
I am. Okay.
I am completely out of breath. I can talk. I will try to talk. So I started out as a circus performer, but I've always loved art. And my mother, she can draw really well. So she taught me to draw a little bit. And I think since I was like 11 or 12, I just drew on everything, whether it's napkins, walls that I would get in trouble on, paper. And in Russia, I remember the only thing I wanted for Christmas or for birthday was markers and pencils and papers. So, and then I started to perform and travel all over the world, and which was really amazing because I got to meet people from all over the world, different nationalities, races, their traditions. And I think it's, whenever you guys have a chance to travel, I think as a human being, it's the number one most important thing that you can do because it really opens up your eyes. So, okay, so after Russia, my family and I immigrated to New York, and Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus was my first circus ever. I know that it closed down, but have you guys seen it? Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey. So it's a 3-week circus.
Oh, no, I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like right there.
Yeah. But it was such an eye-opening experience, and performing for that show really was incredible. And I got to tour every single, I got to go to every state of the nation, so it was really amazing. And I've always been enamored with the costumes that I saw on that show. And I knew that in my life I was going to do something with art, even if juggling was going to come to an end. And I still perform, but I perform a little bit less because I run my own costume studio. So a little bit of a rewind. In the circus, I realized that I really love costuming, or I love the costumes, and I had to figure out basically how to make them. Because I didn't go to art school, I just had regular school. So I had a lot of people in the circus teach me about costumes. And in my profession in the circus, I specialized in spandex, so spandex stretchers. And the stretch of the spandex gives you a very, just a comfortable attire so that you can only focus on what you're doing, especially when you're doing aerials, where you have to be very safe and so on. So I started to study art and sewing and fabrics, and then I also started to draw and paint. This is my latest piece that was in a gallery in Sarasota, but my husband liked it so much that he just kind of took it back. So, thank you very much. And the reason why I bring up my art is because after I drew on paper, I started to basically change my canvases and paint different canvases like that or on fabrics. So I love to paint on fabrics. But in order for me to do that, I had to find out a perfect kind of paint that has longevity. So like just regular acrylics or watercolor obviously will wash off, so I had to do a lot of studying myself because I did not go to school for art, which I think school is so important and education is really, really crucial. With that said, you can teach yourself. So when you really love something, you have to be persistent and find all the different paths to learn so that your craft is the best. And sometimes you don't need college to do that, but college is a place where it has everything that basically I had to go through so many errors. But if I would have went to school, I would have had a teacher tell me, don't try this, don't try that, and this is what you need to make it work. But I made it work. So here's a website that I recently made. It's a little new. I'm still trying to get acquainted with it. And I make costumes for performers.
Do you want to make girl costume?
Sorry?
Do you want to make girl costume?
No, I make girl and boy costumes. But mostly girl. I'm not quite sure why, but I found that a lot of aerialists are mostly girls for some reason. So she is from Australia, and she does a beautiful zero act, and her skirt is removable. So she goes up in the air, and it's beautiful and flowy, but in order for her to do the tricks, she has to remove it. And she also has to remove it very quickly so that the audience doesn't just sit there and wait until she moves. This is a boy costume for a trapeze artist in England. Australia, this comes from here. I did flowers and this is kind of cool, that costume, because I recently got into drawing the muscles so that from far it looks like it's his skin, but it's not really his fabric. Yeah, no, see, like him also, that is not his skin, that is fabric. So you can keep that extra layer you want and still have a six-pack.
Amen. Well done.
Thank you. I won't go through all of it, but I will show you a couple of Speaking of boys and ID, I will show you my personality.
Oh, sure.
This performer lives in France, and she's on the butterflies, so I painted a lot of butterflies on her costume. And since I made her costume, I posted it on Facebook. I got like 8 orders that day to make more butterflies. I was like, wow, I guess people like butterflies. Yes?
Did you have that flower one up there?
Yep.
That one? Did you base it off of like the flowers from the cracker or the drop? It's like it looks a lot like it.
Yeah, well, I am inspired by so much. I definitely was inspired by that production. The costume is incredible. And sometimes when I go on Pinterest, it's just a tunnel of so much inspiration. With that said, for an artist, to me personally, I think it's very important to have your own original style. You can just be inspired by other things, but me personally, I will never copy anything to a T because I think it's important not to copy. So I will draw different flowers and this girl did a fitness presentation, and she was inspired by Phantom of the Opera. So I was like, yes, definitely. It's one of my favorite plays. She's extraordinary. So see how this looks like her skin, but she's actually fully clothed in fabric.
Can you tell us a little bit about like the process? Like somebody calls you up and says, I need a costume. So how does it work? Like they tell you.
Sure. So unfortunately, I don't get the convenience of measuring tape and fitting. I wish I did, but I don't, because some of my clients are in France or Italy or wherever. So I have to trust that they are giving me correct measurements. But what does help me a little bit is that because I work from spandex, even if their measurements is slightly off, I am still pretty safe because the spandex stretches. So the way that works, social media has helped me so much. Facebook is basically my #1 PR. And every time I post a costume, I get somebody from the circus inquiring about it. Or if I make them a costume and then they post it on their wall, like let's say Europe, her community sees it and then they call me. So social media is just really not everything. So she then contacts me and she gives me all kinds of different things that I can inspire to fit her character. So whether it's Poison Ivy, which we all know her character, or her own personal likes of different colors and different shapes, whether she wants a full body costume or just a leotard, if she can have a skirt and wear it safely in the trapeze, or she can't have anything because she can't have anything catching the trapeze. So basically, I have this huge questionnaire that I ask them, and then I don't know if I have it, and then I draw a design like that. And they either tweak it or they say that's exactly how they want, and I try to make the costume as my design shows. Let's see, those are more of my flowers. I made a Tinkerbell for a business show. This one was a fun project where I did Maleficent for a volume event. Because
How long does one costume usually take you?
I like giving myself a whole week for a costume, but in reality, it's about 3 days, unless it's very, very detailed. So here, for instance, this was a very time-consuming costume because I have all different kinds of fabrics here. So she has the big, beautiful, flowy skirt and many layers so that you can see the volume of it. And here I have chiffon that I made it look like a beauty fire. And over here, and in order for those chiffons to stick up, I had to put wire in it, so many elements. And then, when I'm done with the costume, I then have to apply rhinestones. And that takes a whole lot of time. But rhinestones are magical and sparkle, and everything should sparkle, so I'm sorry, what?
Is that like they're using like photo
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Are they using like photo editing to make that light up, or do you actually put like lights or something in it?
So that's a very good question. So this one, it was just my flash. But there's this new app that I'm kind of addicted to. It's called Kira. And what it does is, it basically shines where the app sees the rhinestone and makes it sparkle. So to me, when you're on stage and you have all those incredible lights on you, that's how you sparkle. So I use that app sometimes. Yes?
How much does it cost to make a costume for like all the fabrics and stuff?
For the supplies?
In a total.
In a total, I mean, it kind of really depends because for this, just in her rhinestoning, the supply to buy the rhinestones cost maybe almost $1,000, almost $1,000 just for the rhinestones. But then there's different companies that you can buy. If you go to Swarovski's, very expensive. If you go with other companies, it will be a little cheaper. And then, of course, you have to take into account all the hours that I spent on putting it on. So, let me use okay. So there's. This one doesn't have any paint, and I love to paint on my costumes, but this one's so special to me because, yes, it has many sparkles, but my mother-in-law, she is incredible in trim work, and so what trim work means is that there's many little tiny beads that she had to sew on by hand. I love gluing a whole bunch of stuff, and it also takes faster. But the intricate work that went into this costume just makes me love it so much more. And this costume, I performed for Orlando Magic last week, and so I matched their colors. As a costume designer, I always tell my clients to don't sit, don't eat, don't just perform in it. And what I did with my new costume was, I couldn't believe I did that, because I was putting on makeup in my costume and the foundation went everywhere, and so, yeah.
That's real. Don't do stuff in your costume.
Yes, take my experience. Any questions? Yes.
Have you ever designed or worn anything Ursula-themed?
No, but I'd love her. A friend of mine told me that I should get into Comic-Con costuming.
Oh, yes. Isn't it kind of inspiring?
I don't know, but I should know, because the costumes that they do that time is so extraordinary.
Oh,
Yes?
have you made anything like, I'm sorry for being kind of back,
No, please.
but you know, like the Looney Tunes movie, like the Bugs, not Bugs Bunny, but the Bunny like Bugs?
Just
Roger
Roger Rabbit. Like,
I don't think I have her here, but I have made Jessica Rabbit.
yeah.
Yeah, I grew up trying to understand what made her dress sparkle. And so what made her dress sparkle was, it wasn't red, it wasn't pink, but it was a combination. So I used pink and red rhinestone.
It was magic.
Like you were a show.
No, I made that for a client, and she has red hair, so it was kind of nice.
Wow.
You guys, I'm gonna give you my information, so if you guys like to follow me on my next projects.
Do you have Insta?
Follow like a cosplay for like,
I'm sorry, what?
you made like cosplay out of like,
It makes so much.
But for Comic-Con is, I have to learn, I just have to learn more. So right now I specialize in Spanish section font. For Comic-Con, I would have to learn the armors and all the classes and everything. And I also have to be careful, because a lot of comics is toxic. So, yes.
How much money would one of your costumes cost?
My prices range, I mean, it's all kind of different. They range from anywhere to $400 or $500 to more, depending on how much time I put into it. But these performers, they save up for a costume, which they then use a lot. So, and I make sure that I use very high quality fabrics and threads so that the longevity is there, because the person, moves around so much and washes their costume so much. So I have to take that into effect.
What's the most expensive costume?
Most expensive costume I've ever made. Well, a couple thousand for a piece, and I'm sure that one got a lot of rhinestones. But recently, what's been good financially is that I would be doing not just one or two costumes, but I would wardrobe for the whole show. So I would make all different kinds of pieces. My latest costume, which is not up on Instagram yet, but it will be today, was my first equestrian costume. And I was so excited about that, because I paint, I'll show you guys some paintings. I love to paint horses. Is it Gena's? Sorry? Gena's design. Yeah, Gena's design. This woman, she wanted a whole lot of things, and I had to figure out how that was going to work. But she wanted to come out in a black cloak on her huge, big, beautiful Frisian horse. And afterwards, she would remove the cloak, and she was a phoenix. And so she had these huge phoenix wings, which had to be light because she's on a horse. So I made the wings out of chiffon, and I also put LED there. So and then after she removed her phoenix, she was left in this beautiful white watery theme, and she had a magical compartment in the costume, so that when the costume was taken off, she had this huge, long, flowy skirt, which also lit up. So I'm super proud of that one. I'll post that one today. Any more? Yes? Yes? Did you have questions? So on Instagram, I am at Gena's, Gena, Gena's Design. I don't have cards, but I have Instagram. I do have cards, I just never bring them because of Instagram. Oh yeah, let me show you a couple of my paintings, so if you guys have to go.
Hey, at least you guys
And so I'm also inspired by the curtain behind it and all those beautiful burgundies. And they have this big wall of fire move, and they have to kind of like, get it within the type thing. So yeah, I was very glad. So the last couple of things I wanted to say was, we were talking about social media and how important it is to use it correctly and to upload your art. Even if you feel like maybe it's not good enough, I know there's a person out there that can see something that they can relate to. So I try to post all my work on social media because it has helped me so much. So yes.
What was your inspiration for that painting? Because I see it's looks like kind of like a trapeze artist, but then at the bottom there's all this stuff coming out of it. I was like, it's a circus. Underwater. It's a circus.
Can't flew.
She does look like she's underwater. No.
Oh, I really like all this feedback.
It's a circus flyer.
Did you make that costume?
I made similar things. I love stripes. So you're gonna see stripes wherever I am. Yes. For kids? I have made costumes for kids. Yes. But making costumes for kids is a little bit tricky because I put so much work into it, and kids grow so quickly, so they really don't use it very often. But for kids, sometimes I make different accessories so that, let's say they grow out of the leotard, but the skirt they could just adjust and have all the fun accessories. But back to this costume, so what I saw from it, what I was inspired by it, is that she is the creator of that show, that particular show. And so she's pulling the Stardust magic, which right here, which then creates all of this. So she's leading the parade. And what's so special to me and to my family about this painting is that little guy right there, I know it's hard to see because you're at the back, but that little guy is my son. His name is Mace, and he's 7 years old. Hi, Mace. Hi. And so actually, yeah, he's leading the parade. So a child's imagination, and he's pulling a trampoline act. So my husband used to do this amazing acrobatic act where he was on the trampoline, and my brother-in-law would jump and do somersaults, and he would then catch it on his shoulders. So imagine you guys looking up and seeing a whole human trying to land on you.
Nope.
I have my sister at the chiffon. I have a girl on the horse, one of my favorite paintings. My friend that does rollerball. And so basically all the people here I know. And this clock represents my grandfather's table that he built all by himself. And him and his partner used to do a statue act. So what an acrobatic statue act is, these people would cover themselves in bronze, and so they would legitimately look like statues, but then they would do all these cool acrobatic tricks. So
Do you work with animals? Did you work with animals like elephants?
I did not. My father had a horse, and my mother-in-law and my mother used to perform without elephants and leopards.
And leopard?
My mother-in-law used to perform with leopards.
Aren't they like the raw leopards?
All right, we want to talk to you. I think it's funny, Gena and I have only met each other through getting to talk here for you guys, and it's so amazing to hear what you do, and then if you really want a career, an arts career, I think that Gena would say as well is that it doesn't look anything like you thought it would, and yet it's exactly what you thought it would.
It's so funny, but that's perfectly worded.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, what I want, I think that we have this magical thing as theater people, or performers, or entertainers, where if you ask me what I want to do when I grow up, I kind of still don't have an answer, because I don't feel like I need an answer, right? It's like, because there's this weird thing that if you do what you love every day, then you keep wondering when, like, the work begins, So I want to talk to you. Tell me what you're interested in. If I asked you today, what do you think you want to do? Yeah.
I want to be an actress next. I want to work on Broadway and then I want to go to Hollywood.
Excellent. Now, why Broadway first and Hollywood second?
Because I saw the show Glee, and one of the episodes was talking about how, yes, Broadway is fun, but Hollywood is the place you want to go. I want to go to Broadway first because I want to know, I think it's more fun to do things live. My acting teacher explained this to me. Thank you, Miss Kay. I love you for that. When everything is live, you get that applause, you get that credit that you actually worked hard for. And I did High School Musical with Kaylee this summer, and the rush from doing it was great. There were costume changes and set changes. I just like that rush fun.
And the feedback is rewarding.
Yeah. Well, it's I worked with a theater teacher who still says this awesome thing that that theater is one person performing and one audience member, and then you have theater. That's all that it takes, one and one. And that the energy that is created between two people who are creating and experiencing the creation is like unmeasurable energy in the universe. This is very philosophical. And that's my favorite part of what I do, is that I'm sitting here talking to you, and this is the same thing as me performing a monologue. I get the same thrill from it. But we just get to be us. You know what I mean? So I understand what you're saying. Now, Hollywood is where the money is. Have we considered this? Those people make real money, and we all should have been movie stars. I'll tell you that, right? That's very cool. Anything else? Anything else? Yeah.
I don't really want to be
You're going to be an actor?
Yeah. But I don't really want to be on TV or like on that. I really love being on stage.
Sure. Has anyone had an experience on film and television? Has anyone ever been on in a movie or have you done film and TV? It's such a different set of worlds because it's hard to explain, but the little bit of movie work that I've done in wardrobe, which is not glamorous at all, it takes so much more time. The hurry up and wait aspect of it is really different, but I've never done it personally, but that energy, I guess, when you're in front of the camera and you can really make that happen is really cool. It's exhausting, I've heard that too. Because, you know, you could work, have you done film television?
I have. I've done some I'm those crazy women.
Oh,
And so we were
yeah,
talking
I'd love to
about
hear
the
about it.
exchange, the differences between acting in front of an audience and acting in front of a camera. And I explained to them that a lot of times when you're acting in front of a camera, another thing that you'll run into too is whatever you think was your best work or your best time isn't always what makes it to the actual movie, to the film. They end up, because they have to take into consideration technical elements, the lights look good, the sounds look good. It might have been your best performance, but if the camera was shaky or something happened, that's what they're not going to use. And then if you're doing something too that's really, really emotional, instead of having that audience interaction where you get to go off stage and have that sigh of relief and all those great feelings, you get to say, all right, now we're going to do it again. And then for safety, and then we're going to push it close up, and then we're going to do it over the shoulder. For safety, one more time, okay. And you end up doing that same scene 9 or 10 times at the same emotional intensity that you could have done it once with that exchange in theater.
So do you think when it comes to you as a performer that you have to be confident in the work that you're doing when you don't have that audience feedback?
It is uncomfortable. There have only been a handful of times where I've had any sort of feedback while on set. Like every now and then when you're on set and you do something really, really well, the technicians acknowledge that this is hard work. So if you do a scene where you have to cry, they know that you're going to need, like 5 minutes afterwards before you do the next take. And so they will, they'll clap or they'll say like, yeah, that's great. But you have to be really, really self-assured, because a lot of times you don't get that chance to have director feedback before the next take. They're having 5 minutes to adjust lights, get everyone left with water, powder faces, and then you're going on. I would say if anything, you need to be more confident to do film because you don't have the reassurance so much of the director and fellow actors, because everyone is so hyper-focused on all the technical elements too.
I
No, I just have a question. What is the, sometimes I'm very Russian and I can't remember what is that called when you have to be in character while the movie is happening? So like if the movie is taking months to be made, some actors decide that they want to be the character to perfect their.
Oh, that's like a method actor.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, every theater teacher in the room, I'm with you. Here's the thing. What I believe is that if you're going to be an actor, you have to learn how to be an actor and then also be yourself. And those two things have to coexist together, because at the end of the day, you might want a family and a life, and you want to sit down and watch television for 2 hours. And there are some people who are so actory, they can't separate those two. So I encourage you to figure out how to do both at the same time. You can be a true, authentic actor, be great at what you do, and be a person later. I really believe it. And that there's a lot of people who can't. So, anyway, yeah.
I find it easier to act in front of the camera instead of acting in front of a lot of people, because the feedback, like if you mess up, they're all like if you fall, they're laughing. It feels like they're laughing at you. But if you're in the camera, there's no one there to say, oh, he felt so fake, that was so stupid. And also, I like to be in everything, not just an actor, not just like this as director or like producer. I want to be like, if they already have this part and they can't find the other part, I want to be able to do everything so I can go, hey, I've also done this, so you can just try it in.
It's interesting that you say that, because I don't think that I can say this enough. When you want to do this, in most situations that you're going to be in, the minute you get hired, the next day, you're looking for your next job while you're doing that job. When I was a freelancer, when I say freelance, we all understand what that means. Yeah. It means that, so as a freelancer, that means that I didn't work for any one company in a full-time way. So when I was freelancing, I did X amount of months at Radio City, and then I did X amount of months on the Rent Tour, and then I taught all summer in Massachusetts, and then I took 3 weeks off because I couldn't find a job, and then I went back to Radio City. You must have some
I am a full
situations.
freelance.
You're still doing it now.
Yeah, I just work for different companies, different theater shows, different clients, so I work for myself.
So that freelance lifestyle is very draining. And I don't know, I probably have a bad statistic, but I'm gonna say 75% of people who work in the entertainment business do it. You know, even people who are on a television show, you ever see them then in a movie that summer? They're still freelancing, they're still trying to work. So the more skills that you have, the more things that you know how to do, the more things that you are genuinely interested in, the longer you'll work. I think Gena has laid this out in an amazing way. I've not seen the video. I watched you last weekend. I saw that video.
Okay.
But I can't believe that you juggle like that and have all of those skills, and then you go home and you paint that picture. It blows my mind. And all of those, you know what I mean? It gives her a longevity that gets her bills paid so that she doesn't feel like she has to go to Starbucks because it's the holiday season to make extra money. Maybe you want to do that. But like, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing either, because you may hit a point in your life where that's what you want to do. But if you really want to work in art, the more things that drive you, the more things you like, the better. And I love that you say you can teach yourself. I am a big advocate for school. Go to school, go to college. And I say that mostly because getting to hone a set of skills under someone who is there to support you in that. I'm looking right at your teacher, the other teachers in the room. That is so invaluable.
Yes.
However, if you went to school for everything that there is to do in theater, the arts, or entertainment, you would never leave school. You would die still studying. And I think, you know what I mean? So you go focus on some stuff. You know, I costume design too. I don't sew well, but I am 100% self-taught. I have not gone to school for costume design. If I wanted to make that jump, I probably would have to, because I tried and I don't have the skill set. But you didn't, and you got the skill set. It can be done, but it takes.
I wanted to go to, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Please,
but
no.
when I used to live in New York, I wanted to go to FIT, Fashion and Material Technology there. It was just my dream. I've always wanted to do that. But then I got contracts to perform in different circuses, so I would be traveling, and I just could not go. But while traveling, I started to educate myself on all aspects of art that I was interested in, and I tried to perfect it. That by the time that I was like, okay, then I think I'm ready to go to FIT, I realized that I've actually somehow managed to have a business that I do not want to leave, I do not want to stop. So it's like you said, it's just so important to educate yourself, and if you're inspired by something, go at it full force.
What school will do for you is some of those skills, it'll happen faster.
Yes.
Because you're giving yourself the space and you're surrounding yourself with the people who can help make it happen faster. But it doesn't mean it won't happen if that is not a situation that you are going to be able to present for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's a perfect way to put it. Yeah.
Well, I really like acting. I feel like one of the most like fulfilling parts is like being able to change your character. Like being able to be me now, and then if I get a script or if I get a monologue, being able to be someone else and being a rude chick or a mean chick. Nobody can question you because that's your character. And I mean,
Well, I think that all forms of art give us space and dialogue to explore humanity. Because I love what you say, because in the work that we do, it's truly an art form where you get to see and experience other people and situations, which I think makes you a better world participant. While you guys were eating lunch, we had a conversation about problematic musicals. Some musicals that were written 10 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, by today's standards are inappropriate. And there's moments of it that are so hard to do. We're doing the Music Man right now, and if you know the Music Man, no joke, he follows the main man, the leading man follows the leading lady home 3 times in the play. I would say that's stalking. But it's in that musical, it's an integral part of it. So how do we, in 2018, address a man stalking a woman in a play? I don't know, I hadn't thought about this a lot and how to address it. I know it's a conversation that's happening. But I love this idea of that we get to explore other people's humanity, right? And how do you justify and how do you work that into who you are and making you participate? I don't know. It's just that's what I'm thinking. These are all things I'm thinking about. Like, it's the world is
And
big.
still present your own character and what you're okay with. That would be interesting. You had a question?
Yeah, please.
So like last night we had our one-act competition with Cooper, Jason, and I. And like when the critics came in, our stage manager got fired the day of the performance.
Oh no.
So Cooper and I kind of helped out backstage a lot, and like this one girl, and he had to fill in for all of her parts too, the day of.
Yeah.
And like when the critics came in, they were asking this one girl how many parts she played, and she played like pretty sure it was like 5 or something, and they said that they didn't know.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Great.
It was really hard to like compare different characters, different scenes, or even in the same scene.
Yeah.
Also beautiful. Yeah. Yes.
So I personally want to not only be an actor, but part-time actor in the owner of my restaurant, I'm going to open up, and
I love that.
and like it's gonna be, I know it's gonna be super hard, but I would personally want to be only a part-time actor, but I'm only going to do live shows because I personally did photo rep show with Monica, and it only took 2 weeks. Some plays take more than that. Some plays take years and years to produce. But some take.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about
We
this.
did a musical.
In the professional theater world, it really varies. I worked for a theater in Colorado that did a 10-day rehearsal process no matter what the show was. Start to finish, 10 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So much work.
You should have seen them do Sister Act in 10 days. It was so much.
That was my first.
Was it, Mike, was it 10 days,
Mhm.
Sister Act?
Mhm.
This is Mike, he's a professional stage manager.
And
So does everyone know what the stage manager does?
Yes.
No,
So, he can tell you his own war stories, but one of the reasons, like, sometimes things have to happen really quickly, right? Really quickly. And when you become a professional in it, it is, your reputation means everything. If you want the job, you got to do it in 10 days. Are you going to walk in fully memorized? You better. Are you going to walk in knowing all the music? You better. You know what I mean? We have this luxury in school, and sometimes it's not a luxury, sometimes it's mostly based on the fact that you guys are too busy. And because I don't need 4 months to put on a show. I sure don't. I bet you don't either. If I had you all day long and it's all we did, we could do it very quickly. But, your reputation and your being able to work fast is so important. What is the circus rehearsal world like? Do you, do you do it all yourself? Like, how does, you did Barnum and Bailey, right?
Yeah.
Brothers? How does that all come together in with individual acts like that?
Well, for the circus industry, it's very different because the way hiring works is that a person that is producing the show gets to see our act individually. So I am a juggler. This is what I will be doing for your show. So basically, when you hire me, I am ready to go. I'm perfecting everything that I'm doing. but I know what I'm doing. So sometimes when the circus puts on different acts, we just basically all come together, and as a variety show, we put on a show. Although sometimes, I did a couple months ago, I did a show in Portland, and we rehearsed for about a week because I took my juggling and I fit the theme that they wanted me to do for their show. And that took a lot of dancing, a lot of knowing your cues and the time, so that was a little bit different.
Yeah. So when, see, I'm also interested too. So so when you went into Ringling Brothers Barnumali, did they provide costumes for you too? Or like how much did you have to bring into it to like, for your act to perform in that show?
I brought my skill. There was a costume designer, so they wrote out the show, and then after they constructed the show, they then started looking at different performers that would fit their theme. So, but yeah, the costume that I made was so cool.
So this goes back to the thing, you are your own little company. When you work in entertainment, you are your own company, right? Because if you're going to be an actor, guess what you're selling? This, right? In any shape, form, or whatever. This is, right? So if this is what you're selling, like, it is the product. It is the, you know what I mean? And being able to get your own equipment is key. And that's, you know, the fact that, I mean, there's an entire industry here where you have to show up and bring it all. You know what I mean? Including all the parts that you hold and all of that. And that's so much.
Well, you know what I've learned recently is that as much as I try to perfect my own craft, it's just as important to be very open-minded and be open to fit the characters that the producer wants to be doing. So that is challenging for some people, but it's also exciting, like you said. So.
Collaboration. Collaboration. Like, I love to do things on my own. I love to talk to other people and working all together and knowing, keeping yourself in check. Like, I can't stress it enough. Like your reputation matters, and it already has started. Your teachers are well aware. Well aware. And it is today, if you have not thought about it before, today is the day to begin to consider it. Because especially in this industry, there's 100 of you per every 1 millisecond. Who are just as talented as you, who look like you, all the same. That's going to be the final step that's going to do it for you. I cannot say it enough. Because I just working with Gena in the past week, or I mean, not even, I've seen her down it 3 times, I'm like, can we hang out? Like,
Oh my God.
you know what I mean? Like, and that's real. So, anyway, is anyone else interested in something that isn't acting out of curiosity? Oh, yes. You want to be a what?
A doctor.
Whoa.
We all thank you.
We thank you. What kind of doctor?
I want to be a cardiovascular
I'd like to play one on TV. Yes.
I want to know how to perform normally in a circus.
When you what was the
Sometimes people are born in the circus, and so I remember seeing my parents
I mean,
perform, but sometimes you don't need to be born in the circus, and you can find different circus schools around your area. There is a circus school in Sarasota that can teach you the circus.
How many people travel with the show, do you know?
I don't remember in Ringling, but
did you travel on the train?
no, my family and I, we had a trailer, so we had like a big housing.
How many people did you travel with, within your, group?
So I was there with my family, 2 sisters and my parents.
Wow.
I mean, like you guys did shows that come for in the show.
She's not sure.
It really varies. Ringling Brothers, Brian and Bailey, I think the entire cast, I think it was over 100 people, so.
Yes.
I really want to be an illustrator, but I'm also like really into makeup and costume design.
Oh,
So
great.
Yes.
Awesome.
Let's talk about makeup and costume, makeup in particular for a second.
Hey, sisters, too.
Yeah.
Everyone's right.
Uh,
I love you both.
Makeup design of late has turned into a gigantic industry that is getting bigger by the second. And especially it's funny that you brought it up, the Comic-Con, really didn't get into Comic-Con.
Okay.
The Comic-Con world is a fun thing from where we stand, but it is a humongous industry, and people have figured out how to do it full time. You know what I mean? And it's really something to look towards, even if you're not that interested, or if you think you're not interested because you're not interested in the content. It's really a place where people are really making bank, which is important.
Yeah, it is.
So that's cool. Go to cosmetology school. Consider that.
But also, everything that you mentioned, do everything, because I'll give you an example. I love to draw, so I sometimes make logos, sometimes paintings, sometimes designs, and I also love to do makeup. So yesterday I woke up and I had to meet a client and do her makeup, and it was like money before 10 o'clock in the morning, so
That's the
it's all
best.
good.
We have time for like 2 or 3 more because you guys got to get on a bus and finish up. But any last new thoughts by people have not heard from? Yes, ma'am. Yes.
What I want to do when I grow up, I want to be a teacher
Or both.
or both.
Is one. You guys are young, but I also want to get on my high horse and also say this: you can do both. This industry has changed in a major way. You can have a family if that is something that is important to you and still have a career. That used to be very difficult in theater and film and television, and it is less difficult, and it'll continue to be less difficult if you just continue to make those choices, make it work. I have a friend who's a costume designer who used to strap that baby to her back. He was 3 weeks old. She would strap him to his back, went back to the costume shop. And I don't recommend that because she was very tired. But yeah, I mean, it can be done. So both. You don't have to do both, but I encourage you if you want both to do it. Okay, great. I'll put soapbox away again. Sorry.
Animation, mainly because you have the tools for these characters that you make, that you get to make them come to life, essentially.
Well, I think animation is cool in that way because, I mean, storytelling is so different when it comes to animation. You can really have different kinds of control over the process because you are looking at it as a whole. And I find that to be fascinating. I just took a tour of the Florida State University Film School in Tallahassee, and I'm telling you, like in a different life, I would have tried to push for it because to listen to the animation students talk about their process and their hand drawing on the screen and stuff, and they had their storyboard out and all of that. It's storytelling from like really an overhead view in a way that it's so fascinating. I'm trying to recreate it and I can't, but it was a fascinating one. Anyway, yes, yeah.
Like you said something like maybe 20 minutes ago about like how you would want to do drama more full time than you would like other options. Like I always pictured having a drama career not making like enough money to like self-sustain through drama.
Okay, so we are almost out of time. So this is my last so far. I'll call that. Two parts. One, you have to value yourself and you have to value the work that you do. What's interesting when you ask Gena how much something costs, it's one thing to say, oh, well, I spent $1,000 in material. But the other thing that a piece costs is her time. And she is in this kind of, it's unwritten, everyone does it differently place where she has to decide the value of her skill, her time, and the stuff she has to buy to make it. And all three go into the cost of what something is. And I truly believe when you get to the point where it's time to do this professionally and you're out making money, you have to learn what your value is. And what I mean by that is to talk to people, to pay attention, and to know your skill. You gotta know what you're good at and know what you need to work on and decide what you're selling. Do you have anything to say about that?
That was really perfectly put. And what you just mentioned took me so many years to get to. Because I first started out with doing it just because I loved it. And I couldn't stop doing it. And then it was, my friend was like, listen, I'm going to pay you and you're going to buy a big canvas and I want you to paint my portraits on that canvas. And so I did that. And for me, that's how my business started, is word of mouth. And the more time I put into it, the better I became, the more experience I started to gain. I then realized that if I am doing commission work for people, I need to get paid so that I could keep on doing it, so that I can also survive and support my family. But it was a difficult thing to get to because as an artist, I just want to create. I don't want to deal with the money aspect. Because sometimes you get those days where you feel like you're not good enough, so you're going to lowball yourself and give the client something really low, but really what you end up creating is really amazing. You spend so many hours into it, you know what I mean? So it's a difficult balance to get to.
Art, and by proxy you, are valuable. And you deserve, if that's what you want to do, you deserve to survive on it. And not just the poor struggling artist is an old concept. And I'm not telling you to walk in the door and say, I demand $1 million or I'm not coming. Like, there are very few people who can do it. And most of them don't deserve it, in my opinion.
And then they just shred the painting.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, ah! But it's a big concept for your age, and this will make sense as you get older, but someday you're going to go, that guy and that girl said that to me, and
Yeah.
just think of us. So we should get going because we need to get you on the bus to get you back. Guys, follow Gena on Instagram.